The moon had no name. It was just a number in the star charts. A dead rock floating in the space between two empires that had spent 7 years trying to destroy each other. Park Sun-woo liked it that way. Dead places asked no questions. Dead places did not remind him of the friends he had buried. His small ship moved slowly over the gray surface, scanning for metal. Salvage work was not exciting, but it paid enough to keep him fed and flying. More importantly, it kept him far from both humans and Valens. After everything he had seen in the war, Sun-woo wanted nothing to do with either side. The scanner made a sharp sound. Something big was down there. Sun-woo turned his ship toward the signal. As he got closer, his eyes went wide. It was not old debris from the war. This wreckage was fresh. The metal still glowed with heat in some places. He could see the shape of a transport ship broken into 3 pieces across the rocky ground. Then he saw the symbol on the hull, and his blood turned cold. The imperial crest of the Valan Empire. The golden serpent wrapped around a dying star. He knew that symbol better than his own face. He had seen it on the ships that killed his entire unit. He had seen it in his nightmares for 5 years. Sun-woo should have flown away. Every smart part of his brain told him to leave. But something made him land his ship anyway. Maybe it was his old training as a combat medic. Maybe it was simple curiosity. He did not know. He put on his suit and stepped outside. The air was thin and cold. His boots crunched on the gray dust as he walked toward the wreckage. He could see bodies now. Valan soldiers in their black armor, thrown across the ground like broken toys. Their silver blood had frozen on the rocks. Sun-woo counted 8 bodies. All of them were elite guards, the best soldiers the Empire had. Someone had attacked this ship with serious firepower. But who? The war was over. There was a ceasefire. He stepped through a hole in the ship's hull. Inside, everything was dark except for the small light on his helmet. He moved carefully, checking each room. More bodies. More frozen silver blood. The attackers had been thorough. Then he heard it. A small sound, like a breath. Sun-woo stopped moving. He listened. There it was again, coming from behind a fallen wall panel. He moved the panel aside, and his heart stopped. It was a child. A Valan child, maybe 5 or 6 years old in human terms. She had the silver blue skin of her species, but it was turning gray. Her violet eyes were closed. Silver blood pooled beneath her small body, leaking from a wound on her side. Sun-woo looked at her face, and then he looked at the golden bracelet on her tiny wrist. The same serpent symbol, the same dying star. But this bracelet had something else. A name written in Valan script that every human soldier had learned to recognize during the war. Velnora. This was not just any child. This was the daughter of Empress Lyris Velnora, the supreme commander of the Valan Empire, the woman who had ordered the orbital strike on Station Kepler 7, the woman who had killed 400 human soldiers in a single night, including every member of Sun-woo's unit, the woman whose face Sun-woo saw every time he closed his eyes. His hand moved to his sidearm. The weapon felt familiar in his grip. 1 shot. That was all it would take. The child was dying anyway. He would just be speeding things along. And it would hurt Lyris. It would hurt her more than anything else in the universe. Sun-woo thought about his friends. He thought about Kim Do-hun, who had been like a brother to him. He thought about Lee Yuna, the pilot who always sang old songs during long flights. He thought about the screams on the radio as the orbital strikes fell. He thought about the silence that came after. His finger touched the trigger. The child made a small sound. A whimper. Like a puppy that had been kicked. Sun-woo closed his eyes. He remembered something his grandmother had told him when he was young. She had said that a man's true character is shown not by how he treats his friends, but by how he treats his enemies when they are weak. He holstered his weapon. His hands moved automatically, falling back on years of medical training. He opened his emergency kit and pulled out bandages, sealant, and painkillers. The child's physiology was different from humans, but the basics were the same. Stop the bleeding. Stabilize the patient. Keep them warm. The wound was bad, but not fatal. Not if he worked fast. His fingers moved with speed and skill, applying pressure, sealing the torn flesh, injecting medicine that he hoped would work on Valan biology. The child's breathing grew stronger. Her gray skin started to return to its natural silver blue. Sunwoo let out a breath he did not know he was holding. He picked her up carefully. She was lighter than he expected, like holding a bundle of hollow bones. Her head fell against his shoulder. He carried her out of the wreckage and back to his ship. Inside, he laid her on his small bed and covered her with a blanket. He connected her to his medical scanner. Her heartbeat was weak but steady. She would live. Sunwoo sat down in his pilot's chair and stared at the wall. What had he just done? He had saved the child of his greatest enemy. The child of the woman he hated more than anyone in the galaxy. When other humans found out, they would call him a traitor. When the Valens found out, he did not know what they would do. A small voice came from behind him, weak and scared. Monster? Sunwoo turned around. The child's violet eyes were open. She was looking at him with pure terror. Of course she was afraid. She had probably been taught that humans were monsters since the day she was born. He walked over to her slowly. He knelt down so that his face was level with hers. He tried to make his expression soft, even though he had forgotten how to smile years ago. "No," he said quietly. "I'm going to help you." The child stared at him for a long moment. Then, her eyes closed, and she fell back into unconscious sleep. Sunwoo returned to his chair and started the ship's engines. He did not know where he was going. He did not know what he was going to do with an alien princess. He only knew one thing for certain. His life had just become very complicated. Empress Lyris Velnora stood in the center of her command room and felt something she had not felt in 20 years. Fear. The holographic display showed the wreckage of her daughter's transport. 8 dead guards. No survivors found. And no sign of Sarah. "Find her," Lyris said. Her voice was calm, but everyone in the room could feel the danger beneath it. "Send every ship we have. Search every rock, every station, every shadow in this sector. I want my daughter back." Her admirals bowed and rushed to obey. They had seen what happened to people who failed the Empress. None of them wanted to be next. Lyris stood alone, staring at the wreckage on the screen. Someone had attacked her daughter's ship. Someone inside her own empire. She had enemies, of course. Every ruler did. But this was different. This was personal. She would find whoever did this. And she would make them suffer in ways that had no words. Far across the sector, Sunwoo was having problems of his own. The child, Sarah, had woken up 3 times during the night. Each time, she screamed and tried to run away. Each time, Sunwoo had to catch her gently and explain that he was not going to hurt her. She did not believe him, but she was too weak to fight. Now she sat in the corner of his small ship, wrapped in a blanket, watching him with suspicious eyes. She had not eaten anything. She had not spoken since that first word. "You need to eat," Sunwoo said. He held out a food bar. "It is not Valen food, but it will give you strength." Sarah shook her head. Sunwoo sighed. He put the food bar on the floor between them and sat back. "Fine. When you are hungry enough, it will be there." He turned to his navigation console and studied the star charts. He needed to find a place to hide. By now, the entire Valen Empire was probably looking for this child. If they found him with her, they would not stop to ask questions. They would simply kill him. But there was another problem. A bigger problem. Sarah was sick. His medical scanner had found something in her blood. Some kind of genetic disorder that was slowly getting worse. She needed Valon medicine. Special medicine that only existed in Valon hospitals. Without it, she would die. Maybe in a few weeks. Maybe in a few days. Sunwoo had fought against Valens for 3 years. He had killed them. He had watched them kill his friends. And now he was trying to save one of their children. The universe had a strange sense of humor. He made a decision. He would contact an old friend. Someone who worked in the black market. Someone who could get Valon medicine without asking too many questions. It was dangerous, but it was Sarah's only chance. As he entered the communication codes, he heard movement behind him. Sarah had crawled closer. She was looking at the food bar. "Go ahead," Sunwoo said without turning around. "I told you it would not hurt you." There was a moment of silence. Then he heard the sound of small teeth biting into the bar. He allowed himself a tiny smile. "Why?" Sarah's voice was quiet and rough. "Why did you help me?" Sun Wu turned to look at her. She was still wrapped in the blanket, still watching him with careful eyes. But some of the fear had left her face. I do not know, he answered honestly. Maybe because you are a child. Maybe because I am tired of death. Maybe because I wanted to prove that humans are not the monsters your people think we are. Sarah thought about this. My mother says humans are dangerous. Your mother is right. Humans can be very dangerous. Sun Wu paused. But we can also be kind. Just like Valens can be cruel or gentle. We are not so different, your people and mine. Sarah did not seem convinced. But she kept eating. That was progress. The next 2 days passed slowly. Sun Wu kept the ship moving, jumping from system to system, never staying in one place too long. Sarah grew a little stronger, but her sickness was getting worse. She slept more than she was awake, and when she was awake, she seemed confused and weak. Sun Wu's contact finally answered. Yes, he could get Valon medicine, but it would take time, and it would cost a lot of money. Sun Wu agreed to the price. He did not have the money yet, but he would find it somehow. The problem was the meeting location. It was a station in the middle of contested space, a place where criminals and smugglers gathered. It was also a place where information was bought and sold. If anyone saw him with a Valon child, word would spread fast. But he had no choice. Sarah needed that medicine. On the third day, Sarah surprised him. She walked up to the pilot's chair where he was sitting and looked at the stars on the screen. Pretty, she said. Sun Wu nodded. Yes, the stars are beautiful. My mother showed me the stars once. She said our ancestors came from far away, across the whole galaxy. She said we are children of the stars. Humans have similar stories, Sun Wu said. We call ourselves children of Earth, but we came from the stars too. Everything comes from the stars. In the end, Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question he had been dreading. Will my mother find me? Sun Wu did not know how to answer. If Lyris found them, she would probably kill him. But Sarah needed her mother. She needed her home. Yes, he said finally. Your mother will find you. She is very powerful. She will not stop looking until she finds you. Sarah nodded, satisfied with this answer. Then she did something unexpected. She climbed into the chair next to him and leaned against his arm. You are warm, she said. Valens are always cold. Sun Wu did not know what to do. He sat very still, afraid to move, afraid to break whatever strange moment this was. Sunu, Sarah said. I will call you Sunu. It is easier. My name is Sun Wu. Sunu, she repeated firmly. He gave up. Fine. Sunu. The communication panel suddenly screamed with alarms. Sun Wu jumped up and ran to the console. What he saw made his blood freeze. A Valan war fleet had just dropped out of hyperspace. 12 ships, including the massive flagship of the Empress herself, and they were directly above his position. Lyris's voice filled every speaker on his ship. Cold, powerful, terrifying. Human, you have my daughter. Surrender her, and your death will be swift. Resist, and I will show you what true suffering looks like. Sun Wu looked at Sarah. She was standing behind him, her violet eyes wide with hope and fear. Mama, she whispered. Sun Wu closed his eyes. There was nowhere to run. The flagship's weapons were locked on his tiny ship. One word from Lyris, and he would be dust. He opened the communication channel. I surrender, he said. I am bringing your daughter home. He had saved Sarah's life. Now he would probably lose his own. But somehow, looking at the hope in her small face, he could not bring himself to regret it. The inside of the Valan flagship was cold and dark. Sun Wu walked between 2 rows of guards, his hands bound behind his back. The metal walls gleamed like black mirrors. The air smelled strange, like ice and something bitter. Sarah walked beside him, holding his arm. The guards had tried to separate them, but she had screamed and refused to let go. Finally, they allowed it. No one wanted to upset the princess before she saw her mother. They stopped before a massive door. It was twice as tall as Sun Wu and carved with symbols he could not read. The guards pressed something, and the door slid open with a low hum. The throne room was bigger than Sun Wu's entire ship. Tall pillars held up a ceiling that disappeared into darkness. Lights floated in the air like small stars. And at the far end, sitting on a throne of black metal, was Empress Lyris Velnora. She was tall, even for a Velan. Her silver-blue skin seemed to glow in the dim light. Her eyes were deep violet, like Sarah's, but colder, harder. She wore armor that looked like it was made from night itself. Her white hair fell past her shoulders like a frozen waterfall. She was beautiful, she was terrifying, and she was looking at Sunwoo like he was an insect she wanted to crush. "Mama." Sarah let go of Sunwoo's arm and ran across the room. Lyris stood up from her throne, and for one moment, her cold mask fell away. She dropped to her knees and caught her daughter in her arms. She held Sarah tight, her eyes closed, her body shaking. Sunwoo watched this moment between mother and child. He had expected to feel hatred. He had expected to remember his dead friends, his destroyed unit, all the pain this woman had caused him. Instead, he felt something else, something strange. She was just a mother, afraid for her child, like any mother would be. Lyris pulled back and looked at Sarah's face. Her hands checked her daughter's body, searching for wounds. When she found the bandage on Sarah's side, her expression darkened. "Who did this to you?" Her voice was low and dangerous. "Bad people," Sarah said. "Our ship crashed. Everyone died. But Sunu saved me." Lyris looked up at Sunwoo. Her eyes were like two purple flames. "Sunu?" "The human," Sarah explained. "He found me. I was hurt and bleeding. He fixed me. He kept me safe." Lyris stood slowly. She walked toward Sunwoo, each step measured and careful. The guards raised their weapons, ready to fire at her command. She stopped in front of him. This close, he could see the details of her face, the small lines around her eyes, the tension in her jaw, the barely controlled rage beneath her calm surface. "You are the human who took my daughter." "I am the human who saved her life," Sunwoo replied. His voice was steady, even though his heart was pounding. "She was dying when I found her. The people who attacked her ship left her to bleed out alone in the dark. I stopped the bleeding. I kept her warm. I fed her when she was hungry." Lyris stared at him. "You are human. You are my enemy. Why would you save her?" "Because she is a child." "That is not an answer. It is the only answer I have." They stood in silence for a long moment. Then Lyris raised her hand. The guard stepped forward, ready to drag Sunwoo away. "Mama, no." Sarah ran between them. She spread her small arms wide, blocking the guards from reaching Sunwoo. "He saved me. He was kind to me. You cannot hurt him." "Sarah, move aside." "No." Tears were running down Sarah's face. "He could have killed me, Mama. He had a weapon. I saw him holding it, but he put it away. He chose to help me instead. You taught me about honor. You taught me about debts. He saved my life. You owe him." Lyris's face went pale. In Valen culture, life debts were sacred. If someone saved your life, you owed them a debt that had to be repaid. It was one of the oldest laws of their people, older than the empire itself. Sunwoo watched the conflict in Lyris's eyes. Her hatred for humans battled against her own code of honor. He could see which side was winning, and it surprised him. "Leave us," Lyris commanded. The guards hesitated. Now, they bowed and left the throne room. The massive door closed behind them, leaving only Lyris, Sarah, and Sunwoo. Lyris looked at her daughter for a long moment. Then she looked at Sunwoo. When she spoke, her voice was cold, but the rage had faded. "You saved my daughter's life. I cannot ignore this. My honor will not allow it." "I do not want anything from you," Sunwoo said. "Just let me go. I will disappear. You will never see me again." "That is not how this works." Lyris walked back to her throne and sat down. "A life debt must be repaid. Until it is, you are bound to me. You will stay on this ship as my guest." "Your prisoner, you mean?" "My guest," she repeated firmly. "You will be given quarters. You will be fed. You will not be harmed. And I will decide how to repay my debt to you." Sarah ran to Sunwoo and grabbed his hand. "You can stay with us. I can show you my room. I have toys from 12 different planets." Sunwoo looked down at the child's excited face, then up at her mother's cold one. This was not what he had expected. He had expected death. Instead, he was getting, what? A prison made of silk instead of iron? Your daughter is sick, he said to Lyris. She has some kind of genetic disorder. She needs medicine, special Valen medicine, or she will die. Lyris's eyes widened slightly. This was news to her. She turned to Sarah with concern. I feel tired sometimes, Sarah admitted, and cold, even when it is not cold. Lyris stood again. She pressed a button on her throne and spoke rapidly in Valen. Within moments, medical officers arrived. They took Sarah gently, promising to examine her completely. As Sarah was led away, she waved at Sunwoo. I will see you later, Sunwoo. He waved back. Then he was alone with Lyris. You knew she was sick, Lyris said. You were trying to get medicine for her. Yes. Even though she is Valen. Even though she is my daughter. Even though She stopped. Even though you killed everyone I loved? Sunwoo finished for her. Yes. Even though all of that. Lyris sat back in her throne. She studied him like he was a puzzle she could not solve. You confuse me, human. My name is Park Sunwoo. You confuse me, Park Sunwoo. I have fought your kind for 7 years. I thought I understood humans. I thought you were simple creatures, driven by fear and greed. But you do not fit. Sunwoo shrugged. Maybe you were wrong about us. Or maybe I am just strange. Perhaps both. Lyris stood and walked toward a side door. Before she left, she turned back. Guards will take you to your quarters. Do not try to escape. You would not make it 10 steps. I was not planning to escape. Good. She paused. Thank you for saving her. I will not say it again. Then she was gone, and Sunwoo was alone in the throne room, wondering how his life had become so strange. That night, alone in her private chambers, Lyris watched the security footage from Syrah's crash transport. She watched the human find her daughter. She watched him hesitate with his weapon drawn. She watched him choose mercy over revenge. She watched it again. And again. For the first time in her reign, Empress Lyris Velnora did not understand her enemy, and that frightened her more than any weapon ever could. Sunwoo lived in a strange middle world. He was not a prisoner, but he was not free. He had comfortable quarters with a soft bed and warm food. But he could not leave the ship. Guards followed him everywhere he went. The Valen crew looked at him with disgust and hatred. Some whispered threats when they thought no one was listening, but no one touched him. Lyris's command protected him like an invisible shield. The only bright spot in his days was Sarah. The little princess visited him every morning. She would burst into his quarters with endless energy, talking about her dreams, her toys, her lessons. The Valen doctors had started treating her illness, and she was getting stronger every day. Her skin glowed with health. Her violet eyes sparkled with life. She taught Sunwoo Valen words. He taught her human games. They spent hours playing simple things like hiding games and guessing games. For those hours, Sunwoo could almost forget where he was. He could almost forget that he was surrounded by enemies. Sunwoo, why are you always sad? Sarah asked one day. They were sitting in the ship's garden, a large room filled with alien plants that glowed in soft colors. Sarah was making a crown from silver flowers. I am not sad, Sunwoo said. Yes, you are. Your eyes are sad. Even when you smile, your eyes stay sad. Sunwoo did not know what to say. He had not realized a child could see so deeply. I lost people I loved, he finally said. A long time ago. Sometimes I still miss them. Sarah nodded seriously. I lost my father. He died when I was a baby. Mama says he was brave and good. I do not remember him, but sometimes I miss him too. She put the finished flower crown on Sunwoo's head. It looked ridiculous, but he did not take it off. Now you look less sad, Sarah decided. The summons from Lyris came that evening. Sunwoo was brought to a small room with 2 chairs and a table between them. Lyris sat in one chair, dressed in simple dark clothes instead of her usual armor. Without the armor, she looked almost normal. Sit, she commanded. He sat. I have questions, Lyris said. You will answer them. This sounds like an interrogation. It is a conversation. If I wanted to interrogate you, You would know the difference. Sunwoo shrugged. Ask your questions. For the next hour, Lyris asked about human culture, about human families, about human beliefs and customs. Sunwoo answered as honestly as he could. He told her about Earth, about the blue oceans and green forests. He told her about Korean food, about the spicy soups and grilled meat that he missed. He told her about human music, about the old songs his grandmother used to sing. Lyris listened carefully to everything. Her face showed no emotion, but her eyes were hungry for knowledge. Why did you become a soldier? She asked. Because my country needed me. Because I wanted to protect my people. And now? What do you want now? Sunwoo thought about this. Peace. I want to stop fighting. I want to stop killing. I want to find a quiet place and live a quiet life. That is a small dream for someone who could have killed an empress's daughter. Small dreams are enough for small people. Lyris tilted her head. You are not small, Park Sunwoo. You pretend to be, but you are not. More days passed. The conversations continued. What started as interrogations became something else. Lyris asked questions. Sunwoo asked questions back. They talked about war and peace, about loss and survival, about the weight of leadership and the price of power. Sunwoo learned that Lyris had become empress at the age of 20, after her mother died suddenly. She had inherited a war she never wanted. She had sent millions to their deaths because there was no other choice. The weight of those deaths sat on her shoulders every single day. Do you regret it? Sunwoo asked one night. The orbital strike on Kepler 7? Lyris was quiet for a long moment. Yes, she finally said. I regret many things. That is one of them. The screaming on your communication channels. It took months before I could sleep without hearing it. Why did you do it? Because my generals told me it would end the war faster. Because I believed that more lives would be saved in the long run. Because I was young and stupid and trusted the wrong people. She paused. I was wrong. It did not end the war. It only made the hatred deeper. Sunwoo did not know what to say. He had expected a monster. Instead, he found a woman who was haunted by the same ghosts as him. Everything changed on the 24th day. Sunwoo was walking with Sarah through the ship's corridors when the attack came. 3 Valen officers stepped out of a side passage. Their weapons were drawn. Their eyes were cold. The human dies today, one of them said, and the child with him. The Empress has grown weak. It is time for new leadership. Sunwoo moved without thinking. He pushed Sarah behind him and faced the attackers with only his fists. He was not armed. He had no armor, but he had years of combat training and a child to protect. The first attacker swung a blade at his head. Sunwoo ducked under it and drove his elbow into the attacker's throat. The second attacker fired an energy weapon. Sunwoo pulled the first attacker in front of him as a shield. The blast hit the shield instead. The third attacker grabbed Sarah. She screamed. Something broke inside Sunwoo. He became the soldier he used to be. Fast. Brutal. Unstoppable. He took the blade from the dead attacker's hand. He killed the second attacker with 2 quick cuts. He turned to the third attacker, who was holding Sarah with a knife at her throat. Drop the blade or she dies. The attacker hissed. Sunwoo threw the blade. It spun through the air and buried itself in the attacker's eye. The attacker fell. Sarah ran to Sunwoo and threw her arms around him. Alarms were screaming now. Guards poured into the corridor. They found Sunwoo covered in silver blood, holding Sarah protectively, surrounded by 3 dead bodies. Lyris arrived minutes later. She took in the scene with one look. Her face was pale with shock and rage. What happened? They tried to kill her, Sunwoo said. They said something about new leadership. A coup, maybe. Lyris knelt in front of Sarah. Are you hurt? No, Mama. Sunu saved me. Again. Lyris looked up at Sunwoo. He was bleeding from a cut on his arm where a blade had gotten through. His breathing was heavy. His eyes were still wild from the fight. You were not armed, she said quietly. You fought 3 trained soldiers with nothing but your hands. I was not going to let them hurt her. Lyris stood. She stared at him for a long moment. Something shifted in her eyes. Something Sunwoo could not name. Take him to the medical bay, she ordered. Treat his wounds. Give him whatever he needs. As the guards led Sunwoo away, Lyris watched him go. Sarah held her mother's hand. "Mama, do you like Sunu now?" Lyris did not answer. But later that night, she sat beside Sunwoo's bed in the medical bay, watching him sleep. The doctor said his wounds were not serious, but he needed rest. She looked at the cut on his arm. He had taken that wound protecting her daughter. He had killed for her daughter. Again. "Why do you keep saving her?" she whispered to his sleeping form. "You owe us nothing. We took everything from you." Sunwoo did not answer. He was deep in dreams, fighting battles that never ended. Lyra stayed with him until morning. He opened his eyes and found Sarah sitting on his bed, holding a bundle of silver blossoms. Behind her, through the medical bay window, he could see the stars slowly drifting by. "You slept a long time," Sarah said. "I was worried." "How long?" 2 days. Mama said you needed rest because you used all your energy saving me." She held out the flowers. "These are for you, to say thank you." Sunwoo took the flowers. They were soft and cool in his hands. "Thank you, Sarah. Mama says I have to go to my lessons now, but I will come back later." She hugged him quickly and ran out of the room. Sunwoo lay back and stared at the ceiling. 2 days. He had slept for 2 days. His body must have been more tired than he realized. A soft knock came at the door. Lyris entered without waiting for an answer. She was dressed simply again, without armor, without the symbols of her rank. She carried a tray with food and drink. "You need to eat," she said, placing the tray beside his bed. "Thank you." "Do not thank me. You saved my daughter's life. Twice now. Feeding you is the least I can do." Sunwoo sat up and looked at the food. It was human food. Rice and vegetables and some kind of meat. Someone had gone through a lot of trouble to prepare this. "Where did you get human food?" "We have supplies from trade stations. I ordered the kitchen to learn some human recipes." Lyris sat down in a chair beside his bed. "Is it correct?" Sunwoo tasted the rice. It was not perfect, but it was close. Closer than he had eaten in years. Something warm spread through his chest. "It is good, thank you." They sat in comfortable silence while he ate. When he finished, Lyris took the tray and set it aside. She did not leave. Instead, she sat back in her chair and looked at him with those deep violet eyes. "The 3 soldiers who attacked you and Sarah were part of a larger group, a faction within my admiralty that wants to restart the war with humanity. They believe I have grown weak. Have you? Perhaps. Or perhaps I have grown wise. There is a difference, though some cannot see it." Sunwoo considered this. "What will you do about them?" "I have already done it. The faction's leaders have been arrested. The trials will begin soon. They will be found guilty, because they are guilty, and they will be executed." "That is harsh. They tried to kill my daughter. Harsh is the minimum they deserve." Sunwoo could not argue with that. The conversations continued every night after that. Lyris would come to his room after Sarah went to sleep. They would talk for hours about everything and nothing. The walls between them were slowly coming down. One night, Lyris told him about her husband. His name was Torin. He was gentle and kind, nothing like me. He made me laugh, which was rare. We were married for 3 years before he was killed. How did he die? Human soldiers. A raid on one of our outer stations. They did not know he was there. It was random, pointless death, like most deaths in war. Sunwoo felt something cold in his stomach. "I am sorry." "Why?" "You did not kill him." "No, but my people did. And I have killed Valens too. Not in raids, but in battle. I have taken husbands from wives, fathers from children. I am sorry for all of it." Lyris was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, softer. "I have done the same. Your people, my people, we have hurt each other so much. Sometimes I wonder if there will ever be an end to it." "There could be," Sunwoo said, "if someone was brave enough to stop." Bravery is easy to speak of, hard to do. Everything worth doing is hard. Another night, Sunwoo told Lyris about his unit. "There were 400 of us on Kepler 7. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, medical staff. We were building something there, a research station that would study a nearby black hole. We thought we were safe. The station had no weapons. It was not a military target, but my forces attacked it anyway. Yes. The orbital strike came at night. Most people were sleeping. I was on patrol outside when it hit. I saw the whole station disappear in fire. I heard the screams on the radio. I heard them calling for help that would never come. Lyris closed her eyes. I knew it was not a military target. My generals told me there were weapon factories hidden beneath the station. They lied. And I believed them because I wanted to believe them. I wanted the war to end so badly that I accepted easy answers. What happened to those generals? I executed them. When I learned the truth about Kepler-7, when I realized what I had done, I had them killed. She opened her eyes. It did not bring back the dead. It did not erase my guilt, but it was all I could do. Sunwoo looked at her. In the dim light, he could see the weight she carried. The same weight he carried. They were both murderers. They were both victims. They were both trying to survive in a universe that seemed designed for pain. After Kepler-7, he said quietly, my unit struck back. We attacked a Valen civilian transport. We knew there were no soldiers on board. We knew it was just families, going home for a holiday. We attacked anyway, because we were angry and hurt and wanted revenge. Lyris's face did not change. How many? 212. Men, women, children. I did not fire the weapons myself, but I was there. I did not stop it. I am as guilty as the ones who pulled the trigger. They sat in heavy silence. Two people who had done terrible things. Two people who could never escape their pasts. We are monsters, Lyris said finally. Both of us. Yes. But maybe monsters can change. Maybe we do not have to keep being what we were. Lyris reached out and took his hand. It was the first time she had touched him willingly. Her skin was cool, but her grip was strong. I want to believe that, she whispered. I want to believe that so badly. Outside the ship, in the darkness of space, other forces were moving. The arrested admirals had friends, powerful friends who did not want to see their plans fail. Messages flew between ships. Secret meetings were held. A new plan took shape, bigger and more dangerous than before. They would not just kill the Empress. They would destroy everything she loved. They would start a war so terrible that peace would become impossible forever. And they would begin with the human. In her chambers, Lyris received reports about unusual ship movements. In his quarters, Sunwoo felt a growing unease he could not explain. In her bed, little Sira dreamed of flowers and stars, unaware that darkness was coming. That night, Sira came to Sunwoo's room. She could not sleep. She crawled into his bed and held his hand. Sunu, will you stay with us forever? Before he could answer, the ship shook with a massive explosion. Alarms screamed through every corridor. Red lights flashed in the darkness. The coup had begun. Sunwoo grabbed Sarah and rolled off the bed just as the ceiling collapsed where they had been lying. Dust and sparks filled the air. The alarm screamed so loud he could barely think. Sunu, Sarah cried, clutching his shirt. I have you. Stay close to me. Do not let go no matter what. He kicked open the door to his quarters. The corridor outside was chaos. Smoke poured from broken pipes. Valen soldiers ran in every direction, some loyal to the Empress, some fighting against her. Energy weapons flashed in the darkness. Sunwoo needed to find a weapon. He needed to find a safe place for Sarah. He needed to find Lyris. A rebel soldier appeared around the corner. Sunwoo moved before the soldier could react. He grabbed the soldier's weapon arm, twisted hard, and slammed his palm into the soldier's throat. The soldier fell. Sunwoo took his energy pistol and kept moving. Where is Mama? Sira asked. I do not know, but we will find her. The ship shook again. Somewhere, another explosion tore through metal and flesh. Sunwoo pressed Sira against the wall and covered her body with his own as debris rained down around them. He checked the pistol. It had enough charge for maybe 20 shots. Not enough. Not nearly enough. They moved through the burning corridors. Sunwoo killed 3 more rebels who got in their way. Each time, he made sure Sarah did not see. He covered her eyes with his hand and told her to count to 10. When she reached 10, the danger was over. In the security center, Lyris fought like a storm given flesh. She had been asleep when the attack began. She had woken to find her guards dead and rebels pouring into her chambers. She had killed 11 of them before she even found her sword. Now she stood in the center of the flagship's main command room, surrounded by the bodies of her enemies. Her white hair was matted with silver blood. Her simple sleeping clothes were torn and stained. In her hand, she held the ceremonial blade of her ancestors, its edge gleaming with the lives it had taken. But there were too many rebels. They kept coming, wave after wave, and even an empress could not fight forever. "Surrender, Your Majesty," the rebel leader said. He was an old admiral named Vorn, a man Lyris had trusted for 20 years. "The fleet is ours. Your loyalists are outnumbered. This ship will fall within the hour. Accept your death with dignity." "I will die on my feet," Lyris said, "and I will take as many of you with me as I can." Vorn shook his head. "Always so stubborn. You could have been a great empress, Lyris, but you let weakness into your heart. First your dead husband, then that human. You forgot what we are. You forgot that power is the only law. Power without mercy is tyranny. Tyranny wins wars. Mercy loses them." Lyris raised her blade. "Come and prove it." The rebels charged. Lyris met them with fire and steel. Sun Wu found a security terminal that was still working. His fingers flew across the controls, searching for Lyris's location. The screen flickered, showing images from different parts of the ship. Fire, fighting, death. Then he found her. She was in the main command room, surrounded by enemies, fighting alone. Even on the small screen, he could see that she was wounded. She was slowing down. She could not last much longer. "Stay here," he told Sarah. He pushed her into a small storage closet and closed the door. "Do not come out until I come back for you. Do you understand?" "But, Sunu, promise me." Sarah's violet eyes were full of tears. "I promise." Sun Wu ran. The command room was 2 levels up and half the ship away. Sun Wu cut through corridors filled with smoke and blood. He killed rebels without stopping, without thinking. His body remembered the old training. His hands remembered the old movements. He became the soldier he had sworn never to be again. He burst through the command room doors just as Lyris fell to her knees. Vorn stood over her, his blade raised for the killing blow. Around them lay dozens of bodies, rebels and loyalists alike. Lyris's sword arm hung useless at her side, broken or worse. Her violet eyes stared up at her killer without fear. "Any last words, Your Majesty?" "Yes," Lyris said. "Look behind you." Vorn turned. Sun Wu shot him through the chest. The old admiral staggered backward, his eyes wide with shock. He looked down at the smoking hole in his armor, then back up at the human who had made it. "Impossible," he whispered. "You are just a human. And you are dead." Sun Wu shot him twice more. Vorn fell, but there were still rebels in the room. 20 at least, maybe more. They turned their weapons towards Sun Wu. Lyris screamed something in Velan. Emergency codes, commands, something that made hidden panels in the walls slide open. Loyalist soldiers poured into the room, and the battle became a storm. Sun Wu fought his way to Lyris. He pulled her to her feet and pressed a weapon into her good hand. "Can you fight?" "I can always fight." They stood back to back, surrounded by chaos. Energy blasts flew around them. Bodies fell. The air filled with smoke and the smell of burning. A rebel officer appeared in front of Sun Wu. This one was faster than the others, trained better. They exchanged blows, and Sun Wu found himself pushed back. A blade cut across his ribs, another cut his shoulder. He was bleeding badly, but he kept fighting. The rebel saw an opening. He lunged for Sun Wu's throat. Sun Wu twisted at the last moment. The blade that should have killed him cut across his back instead. The pain was incredible, like fire spreading through his body. He fell to his knees. The rebel raised his blade for the final strike. Lyris appeared behind him. With her one good arm, she drove her sword through the rebel's back and out through his chest. "Do not die," she commanded Sun Wu. "I forbid it." The battle raged for another hour. Slowly, the loyalists gained the upper hand. The rebel leadership was dead. Without Vorn, the coup fell apart. One by one, the remaining rebels surrendered or died. When it was finally over, Lyra stood in the center of her ruined command room, surrounded by blood and bodies. She had won. The Empire was still hers. But the victory felt hollow. Sunwoo lay on the floor, unconscious. His back was open, revealing muscle and bone. His skin was pale gray. His breathing was shallow and weak. Lyris dropped beside him. She cradled his head in her lap, her broken arm forgotten. "Medical team!" she screamed. "Someone get me a medical team now." Her voice echoed through the damaged room. It was a sound no one in her empire had ever heard before. It was the sound of an empress breaking. "Stay with me," she whispered to Sunwoo. "Please. I cannot lose you too." The medical team arrived and took Sunwoo away. Lyris followed, limping, bleeding, refusing to let him out of her sight. Behind her, the ship burned. Around her, her empire trembled. But none of that mattered. Only he mattered. In her hiding place, Sarah heard footsteps approaching. She pressed herself against the wall, terrified. The door opened. A loyalist soldier looked down at her. "Your Highness, your mother sent us. You are safe now." Sarah burst into tears. "Where is Sunu? Is he okay? Please tell me he is okay." The soldier hesitated. "He is. Being treated. Come. Your mother is waiting." Sarah ran through the corridors to the medical bay. She found her mother sitting beside a bed, holding a pale human hand, staring at a face that might never wake up again. "Mama?" Lyris looked up. Her eyes were red. Her face was wet with tears. "He might die," she whispered. "He might die because of me. Because of us. Because of this stupid war that should have ended years ago." Sarah climbed onto the bed and lay down next to Sunwoo. She put her small hand on his chest, feeling his weak heartbeat. "He will not die," she said firmly. "Sunu is strong. He saved me twice. He will not die now." Lyris looked at her daughter. So young, so sure, so full of hope that the universe had not yet crushed. "No," Lyris agreed. "He will not. I will not allow it." She stood and began giving orders. The best doctors, the best equipment, every resource the Empire had. Park Sunwoo would live. She would accept no other outcome. He dreamed of Kepler 7, of the screams on the radio, of watching his friends die from a distance. He dreamed of the Valon transport he had helped destroy, of the faces of families he had never met. He dreamed of blood, both red and silver, mixing together until he could not tell whose was whose. Then a hand took his. A small hand, warm and soft. "Sunu, wake up, please." He opened his eyes. Sarah sat beside his bed, her violet eyes full of tears. Behind her, through a window, he could see stars drifting slowly by. The medical bay was quiet. The machines beeped softly, monitoring his vital signs. "You woke up?" Sarah whispered. "Mama, he woke up?" Lyris appeared at his bedside. Her arm was in a sling, and there were healing cuts on her face. But her eyes were bright, brighter than he had ever seen them. "You slept for 6 days," she said. "The doctors were not sure you would wake up at all." "I am stubborn," Sunwoo said. His voice was rough and weak. "I noticed." Sarah threw her arms around him, careful of his bandages. "You cannot scare me like that again. Promise me." "I promise to try." The next weeks were slow. Sunwoo's wounds were deep and serious. Even with Valen medicine, he needed time to heal. He spent his days in the medical bay or in a wheelchair, watching the stars through the window. Lyris visited every day. Sometimes they talked, sometimes they just sat in comfortable silence, watching the universe spin past. The Empire was in chaos after the coup. Many admirals had been involved. The military had to be rebuilt almost from scratch. Every day brought new problems, new challenges, new threats. But Lyris did not face them alone anymore. Somehow, without either of them noticing, Sunwoo had become her advisor. She would come to him with problems, and he would offer a human perspective. Often his ideas were strange to Valon thinking, but strange ideas were exactly what the Empire needed. One evening, Lyris came to him with a document in her hands. She looked nervous, which was something Sunwoo had never seen before. "I've been thinking," she said, "about the war, about everything that has happened, About us. That is a lot of thinking. She did not smile. The ceasefire with humanity is fragile. It could break at any moment. One wrong move, one misunderstanding, and we could be back to killing each other. I know. I do not want that. I have seen enough death. I have caused enough death. I want something different, something better. She handed him the document. Sunwoo read it slowly, his eyes growing wider with each line. It was a peace treaty. Not just a ceasefire, but a real peace. An alliance between the Valen Empire and the Human Federation. Trade agreements, cultural exchanges, a joint council to resolve disputes, an end to the hatred that had burned between their species for decades. Sunwoo did not have words. Radical, impossible, insane. Lyris nodded. My remaining admirals said all of those things. But I do not care. I am the Empress. If I say there will be peace, there will be peace. What do you need from me? I need you to stand beside me when I announce it. A human, supporting a Valon peace offer. It will show both sides that unity is possible. Sunwoo looked at the treaty again. This was everything he had dreamed of. An end to the war, a chance for healing. A future where children like Sarah would never have to fear humans, and human children would never have to fear Valens. I will stand beside you, he said. Always. Lyris smiled. It was the first real smile he had ever seen on her face. It transformed her completely, making her look younger, softer, almost gentle. There is one more thing, she said. This is more personal. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small box. Inside was a ring made of silver metal, engraved with both Valan symbols and Korean characters. I had this made, Lyris said. The characters are your name. The symbols are the words for partner, for equal, for someone who shares your heart and your life. Sunwoo stared at the ring. His heart was beating so fast, he thought it might burst. I am asking you to stay, Lyris continued. Not as a guest, not as an advisor, as my consort, as Syrah's father, if you will have her, as the partner of an empress who has forgotten how to be alone. Lyris, you do not have to answer now. I know this is sudden. I know I am asking too much. We were enemies. We caused each other so much pain. But somewhere in the middle of all that pain, I found something I thought I had lost forever. I found someone who sees me. Not the Empress. Not the monster. Just me. And I do not want to lose that. Sunwoo reached out and took the ring from the box. It was cool in his palm, like Valen's skin. On Earth, he said slowly, when someone gives you a ring, it is traditional to say something. What do you say? You say yes. Lyris's breath caught in her throat. Are you saying? I am saying yes. Sunwoo slipped the ring onto his finger. I am saying I will stay. I am saying I want to be Syrah's father and your partner, and whatever else you need me to be. I am saying that I found something too. Something I never expected, and I am not strong enough to walk away from it. Lyris kissed him. It was not a passionate kiss. It was soft and gentle and full of promise. When she pulled back, her eyes were shining with tears. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for letting me stay. The announcement shook both empires. Lyris stood before cameras that broadcast to every world in the galaxy. Beside her stood Park Sunwoo, the human who had saved her daughter, the human who had fought for her empire, the human who had somehow stolen the heart of an empress. I am Empress Lyris Velnora, she said, and I am here to end a war. She explained the peace treaty. She explained the alliance. She explained that the future did not have to be like the past, that hatred could become understanding, that enemies could become friends, that two species who had spent years trying to destroy each other could choose a different path. The reaction was mixed. Some celebrated. Some protested. Some could not believe what they were hearing. But slowly, carefully, the peace began to take hold. On the flagship, Sarah found Sunwoo standing by a window, watching the stars. Are you really going to be my father now? She asked. If you want me to be, I want you to be. She took his hand. I wanted it since the first day. When you saved me and told me you were not a monster, I am not sure I am good enough to be anyone's father. Mama says nobody is good enough for anything. She says we just do our best and hope it is enough. Sunwoo smiled. It was a real smile, the first one in years. Your mother is a wise woman. I know. Sarah grinned. Now come on. Mama is waiting. We are going to have dinner together. Like a real family. They walked together through the corridors of the ship, father and daughter, human and Valen. Behind them, through the windows, two empires that had been enemies were taking the first steps towards something new. That night, after Sarah had gone to sleep, Lyris and Sunwoo stood on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. You were my enemy, Sunwoo said quietly. I was, Lyris agreed. And you were mine. What are we now? Lyris took his hand. Her cool fingers intertwined with his warm ones. Two species. Two survivors. Two people who had found something unexpected in the wreckage of war. We are a beginning, she said. A new beginning for our people. For our daughter. For ourselves. That is a lot of pressure for two people. We are not two people anymore. We are one. And together, we can carry anything. Sunwoo looked at her. The cold empress. The terrifying warrior. The woman who had haunted his nightmares for 5 years. Now, she was something else. Something softer. Something his. He had come to that dead moon looking for scrap metal. Instead, he had found a dying child. And that child had led him to her mother, and her mother had led him to a future he had never imagined possible. I love you, he said. The words surprised him, but they were true. Lyris smiled her rare, beautiful smile. I love you too, Park Sunwoo. Against all reason. Against all logic. Against everything I thought I knew. She leaned against him, and together they watched the stars burn. The war was over. The future had begun. And somewhere in the galaxy, a small family of 3 began their story together. A human soldier, a Valen empress, and the child who had brought them together. They were not monsters anymore. They were just people, trying to do their best. And sometimes, that was enough.